Welcome to week 9 session review of my Waterdeep Dragon Heist game. So after Zelifarn dropped off the gang, they headed back to Blackstaff to meet up with Vengeance. They described what happened with the Bronze Dragon to her. They also asked about possibly allowing her into the city. So this will lead into talking about possible quest rewards. This is a perfect way I can show how quest rewards don't have to always be gold. Here we're exchanging gold for a dragon's entrance into a city. It could be items, favors from a noble, or just a night stay at an inn if you're a little bit of a Scrooge when it comes out to handing out large amounts of gold. So Blackstaff agrees to speak to the dragon instead of giving them the reward of gold, and tells them that she'll meet with the dragon about 11 p.m. tonight. To fill the time, they went to the Halls of Justice to pick up a mission from the Order of Gauntlet. And they asked them to investigate some robberies, and they told them about how someone at the Waterdeep Wazoo knows something. Before actually getting to the newspaper, Doc and Warwick went to see Fala. Warwick wants to mass produce a plant that he brought from his world, coffee, and Doc tries to flirt. The business part goes pretty fine, but the pickup lines for Doc were kind of so-so. So this will lead into time management. I need to get better with how much time I spend with each of these smaller encounters. Sometimes they just seem to go on longer than I feel they should. I may be projecting or overthinking it, but when it's only 1 or 2 players, I need to make them a little bit more snappy, a little bit get it over with quicker. So I need to get better at that. After that, they all leave and head towards the Wazoo, the newspaper, and they talk to the front desk and ask to speak to the editor. With some lucky rolls, they find out that there's an opening in 10 minutes. They meet with the editor. His name is Gaxley Rudderbust, and he's a very busy man, and they try to get some info out of him. It was pretty poorly done by the PCs, but Warwick, went to the old reliable intimidation and went and cut out his own eye. Yes, his own eye. That loosens the editor's lips quite easily. He explains to him he believes the Black Viper to be an evil twin sister of Amelia Castellanter. Now, this being kind of a conspiracy theory, he hasn't put it in the paper yet, but explains he believes this because at a party thrown by the Castellanters, he believes he saw the evil twin with the scar outside speaking to Amelia. Happy with the information, the gang takes it and heads to the Order and begins to wait for the meeting with Blackstaff. To kill some time, Ismay decides to head to the library and do some reading. 11 p.m. comes around and they all head over to Blackstaff, and Ismay doesn't show up. Z2, the only person worried enough to go searching for her, leaves the group to go find her. The rest of the group heads with Blackstaff, where they set up the meeting between Blackstaff and Zelifarn. They speak for a little bit. Zelifarn was eventually allowed to enter the city, but under some certain rules. She goes by Zelly in her human form, and the group starts to show her around, and soon find out Z2 is now missing as well. The tension starts to rise. So creating real tension. I think this is the first time the players were upset when they rolled something with disadvantage, or when they said they failed a roll when they got like a 16. Like, what do you mean and stuff. It was not anger at me, the DM, but it was anger at the moment, anger at the fact that they have no idea how to find the other players. And this is important. If I felt like they were angry or frustrated with me and I was just jerking them around, I wouldn't be putting this in the good section. And that leads us right to the next point. Hard DCs are okay. Impossible DCs are not okay. If you want it to be impossible, don't have them roll for it. Remember, the dice are part of the narrative you and the players are creating together. Sometimes they work with you. Sometimes they don't. The randomness adds to the stupid game and the story you're creating. And if you have a story element that you need it to go a certain way and you don't want them to find something, make sure you have a good reason why they can't roll for it. I mean, you can even break the game a little bit and say, look, a nat 20 investigation check plus your bonus won't tell you where your father is. He's been missing since you were 12. It just wouldn't make sense that one day you decided to look for him and you found him. It's okay to tell your players a roll wouldn't make sense, or to tell them no, as long as they understand why. I think it's much better to tell them that than them rolling a nat 20 and then them being deflated with you saying, oh, you find nothing, you see nothing, right? And if you're building trust with their players and you say no roll will help you, they'll understand and believe you. If you keep that communication open and you keep building that trust, you should be good. They lost the trail, and Orc remembered this paper bird, wrote Z2's name on it, and started to follow it. Magic items that you forget about as a DM. DMs, we forget about some of the most non-important items in this game, especially ones that we hand out to players that aren't super powered weapons. I created a place where only 2 players could truly ever go in this party. I made a little gift for a certain player to go there, and it would be neat for them to find it, but not the whole party. And I didn't really want the other players getting to it. I mean, if they rolled high enough and they were fast enough, they would have been able to find it. It was capable. It was possible for them to do that. It may have been bad for the party, but they could have done it. But they failed at all those steps. And so I'm in the clear. The entire grabs a stupid paper bird, and that can fly to a person that's on this plane. And luckily I set this place across halfway around the world, so they never find it, or at least not in the time frame that it's happening in. This is a perfect lesson that the players can always find a way to do something that they want. Never think or try to make something totally impossible. It's only going to make them mad and even more determined. Now, this is kind of going back on my word from the last statement about impossible DCs, but at the same time, it doesn't. If they got to the library the next day, right, and I told them the trailage is just too cold, there's no way, not even a nat 20, because due to A, B, C, as long as they're reasonable reasons, they would accept that and not being mad at me for any reason, but they will find, this small origami bird and fly halfway around the world to find something that they were never supposed to find. At this point, they didn't outsmart me. They just solved the problem that was in front of them. And players are very good at doing this. It's six people and versus one in the sense. And I don't like that really saying, because it's not versus really. I'm just putting problems out in front of them and they have to solve it. I don't care how they do it. We're just trying to make a story here. This story might end up being a little bit more around the world in 80 days than I first thought. But anyways, they set out this bird, right? And they start to follow it. It leads them to the harbor and keeps on flying over the water. They give chase. Zelly, the dragon, carries half the boys and the other half are on the undead eagle. She explains to them there's only ocean for a very long time, and they say continue chasing the birds. So she does. And it eventually turns around and starts heading back to the city. They re-enter the city, and they find Ismay and a third figure they find Z2 and Ismay and a third figure at the Yawning Portal. And here we have a small session the next day with two players that they had fun, I believe, getting out of the trouble that they got in the day before. They figure out the third person is Silverhand, and that's where we leave the Misfits. The boys tired and angry. And that's where we leave the Misfits. The boys tired and angry as they chased the girls and just wasted time and energy. And the girls are sitting there sipping on tea with some new toys and sharing stories with Silverhand. Let me know if you liked this down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, share with your friends, and hit subscribe. And always have a beautiful day.